Hey guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today, I'm gonna show you how we got all of this. These are a year's worth of shallots, a year's worth of garlic, and enough in there to harvest, preserve, that we harvested that we can preserve it, and also take from it the seed to plant again in the fall. So I'm excited to show you guys how we got here. Let's get started. So these are our shallots, and we actually planted these together in late October, early November. I think it was late October. And these shallots are actually, they originally, I think 3 seasons ago, I purchased about either half a pound or a pound, I can't remember, to use as seed. And you plant them in the fall in my area. You plant them in the fall, I live in Northwest Ohio. You plant them in the fall and they overwinter, and then they break dormancy in the spring and they grow up, and that one bulb turns into, 8 to 12 bulbs essentially. And then they grow up with those green shoots. The necks, they fall over, the necks go floppy. And then you harvest them, dry them out, cure them, and then you can, they will keep in a pantry or a dry location, a cool, dry place for, 10 to 12 months. But if you want to, you can take the biggest, largest bulbs from them and plant them again in the fall, which is what I've been doing every year since I purchased the original half or 1 pound, I forget what it was now, of seed shallots. So there's a couple different kinds of shallots. I've been trying this one for 3 years, and this is more of the round shaped one. And I do end up, this year I actually did start from seed some of the banana shaped shallots as well. Those are in another part of the garden. And so I'll be doing the same thing. They'll be growing up, and then they will flop over when they're done growing, and then I will dry them out, and then in the fall I will plant them again, and they will multiply as well. So I love the fact that you can purchase it once, pop them in the ground, and then keep growing them from year to year. So what I do is I wait till it's a day where it's hot and dry for the next day or so, and I will pull them all up, lay them right in their spot in the bed, let them dry in place, and then I will take them into my garage where I have a cattle panel hanging on the wall, and I use that as my place that is a safe place for them to dry without risk of them being wet from the rain or storms or anything like that. So use whatever you've got. So in my case, I just have them hanging in my garage, and that's the perfect place for my shallots and garlic and onions and everything like that to dry. That's a little safe place for them. Oh, I almost forgot. You can also harvest the green tops as well, and use them as you would like chives or green onions or anything like that, or you can dehydrate them and work them into a powder. Now on this day, I did actually pull 4 of my garlics early because they had 4 dried leaves, and when they have 4 or 5 dried leaves, that's when it's time to, that's your sign to harvest them. You let them go much longer than that, and they'll end up kind of splitting and not forming a nice tight head in the ground. So I'm going to hang these 4 garlic heads up, and then I'm going to go ahead and hang the rest of my shallots up in this cattle panel. This is actually a hog panel, so it's got smaller gaps on the bottom and larger gaps on the top, which is really lovely for being able to hang a variety of stuff. So with the smaller holes, I tend to do the smaller gaps. I tend to put my garlic at the bottom so it doesn't fall through, and then leave the shallots and the onions in the bigger spaces. Okay, so we've got the few that have sprouted or broken right there. Plus I needed to use some in a recipe for tonight. And then we have all of these others. So we planted 36 shallots in the ground in the end of October, and this is what we got. So 36 shallots multiplied and gave us all of this. And I purchased a 1 pound bag of shallots 3 years ago, and I've been planting and growing and harvesting from that same bag from that same crop every single year. So shallots are definitely, I feel like they're an underappreciated crop for sure. So these will hang here and dry for a few weeks, and then they will be ready to hang up inside, and they will store for 10 to 12 months, which is incredible. You get a much longer storage life out of these than just regular onions. Now I still plant onions because it's a different flavor, but I also substitute them out for each other all the time, depending on what I'm in the mood for. And then I'll leave all the lower rungs that are kind of smaller spaces. I'll leave those for our garlic that we're going to be harvesting in just a couple weeks. Those 4 were just done early. Today, I think we're going to be picking garlic, and this is about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks earlier than I normally do, but all of the top leaves are yellow. We had a really warm spring, and because of that, my garlic came out of dormancy probably about 3 weeks earlier than it normally does. And we did have one late frost, which kind of burned the tips, so I wasn't going by the crinkly tops. But if you look down here, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4, if not, there's somewhere between 3 and 5 leaves that have died back on the bottom. And usually when there's, 4-ish leaves died back, then it's time. So we're going to be almost 100 all week with no rain. And I could keep watering them, but I don't think they're going to get any bigger. I think they're grown. I've pulled out a few, and they were large and formed. So we'll just kind of start harvesting. And if I think they're too small, then we'll stop. So let's see what we're getting into. I mean, these are really good size. Okay, I think we're good. I mean, that's a monster. So here's what happens if you wait too long on your garlic. They start to split. Oops. They start to split and become like they try to split and become more heads, if that makes sense. They try to split off. They don't stay tight. So there's nothing wrong with this, but dirt tends to get in between. It's not going to stay for very long. So we can clean it up and use it in the kitchen this week, but it wouldn't really save or keep for very long. So this is the perfect time to be pulling all this garlic. Guys, we did so good. We did so good. So this entire bed minus the first 6 inches, which there's zinnias, was full of garlic, hard neck, soft neck, just full. And then there was a row on the edge of this bed as well of my friend Ben, her relative Pat had some garlic that had naturalized here. And anyway, he was breeding that. And so she gave me some of his. So I've been growing that from year to year. So we had one row of Pat's garlic and then a big mix of ours that we had saved, some music, some all different varieties. So I'll link the video where we planted them together. I'm going to leave this sitting here for probably till tomorrow afternoon. It's literally going to be like 98 tomorrow. So it'll just kind of dry off some more of the dirt. I'll brush off some more of the dirt out of the roots, just kind of tease it. And then I'll hang them upside down to dry in the rack in the garage. And I'll take you along for that. Some of these were just absolute monsters. I mean, just monster heads of garlic. So I'm excited. I'm excited. These are going to taste delicious. And this is definitely enough to save seed and put up what we need for a year as well. Which is always the goal, right? Is to have enough to eat and enjoy and share with friends. And then also have enough where you don't have to buy it again. It'll just keep planting itself. That's why I love garlic and shallots. I did end up hanging these to dry the next morning because they predicted a stray thunder shower coming through and I didn't want them to get wet. But in another day or so, I'll brush off the remainder of the dirt, and I could braid any of the ones that were soft neck, but I think at this point I'm just going to let them dry and enjoy them. Thank you guys so much for being with me here today. I appreciate all the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a lot more harvesting and growing and preserving and fun things to do. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.